Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
You're watching South Asia Newsline and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 11th of April. India ready for urgent trade talks amid tough US stance, says Jaishankar. Taliban's gender restrictions under fire in UN report. And Nepal police arrest royalist leader absconding since March 28 violence. And now for all the details. India has said it is ready to fast-track a trade deal with the US even as Washington takes a tougher line. Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar on Friday said New Delhi is treating the talks with urgency, hoping for breakthroughs with the US, EU and UK this year.
India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar on Friday said New Delhi is gearing up for a high degree of urgency to sign a bilateral trade agreement with Washington after US President Donald Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariffs. While addressing the Carnegie Global Tech Summit in New Delhi, Jaishankar said India's trade teams were charged up to speed up the process of signing the deal with Washington. He said they were also pushing to quickly move the trade agreements with the UK and European Union. Jaishankar highlighted the twin forces shaping global geopolitics were technology and tariffs, jokingly referring to them as the two T words of the moment.
I would argue that, we have today an opportunity to actually take the current situation, and if we can focus on these three big negotiations we have underway with the United States, with the EU and with UK, I would say we could, if these really work out for us, let us say some in this year, we would be in a very different position. And I would again make the point, all three have a very high tech content.
India and the United States had agreed in February to work on the first phase of a trade deal to be wrapped up by autumn 2025. A deal would help the two nations reach two-way trade worth $500 billion by 2030, India's Trade Minister Piyush Goyal said on Thursday.
And as the tariff war is shaking up the global trade map due to the US and China clash, India might just emerge as the surprise winner. With punitive tariffs hitting Chinese goods, global eyes are turning to India as the next big manufacturing and export hub. We have a report.
A new tariff war is brewing, and this time it's personal. The US recently escalated tariffs on Chinese imports to 125%, intensifying trade tensions between the two largest economies. This development has led to a 90-day pause on tariffs for several other countries, including India. But here's the twist. This fight could open a big door for India. Could India come out on top in a war it never signed up for? ANI explains. In recent months, President Trump escalated tariffs on Chinese imports as part of a broader strategy to rebalance US trade ties. While steep tariffs of up to 125% have hit China, other nations, including India, received a temporary pause on tariff hikes. Not only did the US impose punitive rates, but it also set a uniform baseline of 10% on goods from all trading partners. This dual approach was designed to protect US industries broadly while pressuring countries with significant trade imbalances to rethink their practices. Beyond the widely known headline of a 125% tariff, an underappreciated twist in the China-US trade war was how this drastic measure accelerated the China Plus One strategy. Instead of simply increasing costs, it pushed global companies to diversify their supply chains by investing in alternative manufacturing hubs like Vietnam and India, reshaping global trade dynamics in unexpected ways. This pause, combined with discussions of a potential US-India trade deal, has opened a window of opportunity for India. With Chinese goods facing punitive tariffs, global buyers and manufacturers are scouting for alternative partners.
We will have to go to outside our comfort zone to other territories, right? We will have to de-risk from USA, which means we will have to go to Latin America, Central America, North Africa, West Africa. These places where we have not gone that aggressively.
Behind closed doors in Washington, talks are underway to establish a grand bilateral trade deal. The vision, doubling US-India trade deal to a whopping $500 billion by 2030. If India keeps its tariff barriers in check and commits to market reforms, it could secure better access for its exports while inviting more US energy and defense equipment imports.
भारत तो बहुत समझदारी से इस पूरे विषय को पहले से संभाल रही है। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी और प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप ने फरवरी में ही निर्णय ले लिया था कि हम आपसी संबंध बढ़ाते हुए बायलैटरल ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट एक ऐसा करार करेंगे जो भारत और यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स के बीच व्यापार को सरल भी करेगा, 500 बिलियन तक यानी आज से 2.5 गुना बढ़ाने का काम भी करेगा।
Meanwhile, Indian industries must prepare for potential short-term disruptions while positioning themselves for long-term growth in global markets. The real win will come if India leverages this moment to transform its export competitiveness, attract more foreign investment, and diversify its trading partnerships away from over-reliance on China. Will India harness this moment for transformative growth, or will persistent challenges hold it back? As negotiations and market dynamics continue to evolve, the ultimate outcome remains an open question.
Pakistan on Thursday reiterated that terrorism remains a significant barrier to improving relations with Afghanistan, as he pointed to the persistent issue of militant sanctuaries across the border. Addressing a weekly media briefing, Foreign Office spokesperson Shafaqat Ali Khan emphasized that the security situation continues to hinder bilateral progress despite ongoing efforts to enhance cooperation. His remarks came in response to questions about the upcoming Pakistan-Afghanistan Joint Coordination Committee meeting aimed at boosting trade and economic ties. Khan refrained from confirming a specific date for the meeting, noting that details would be shared once finalized. The comments follow a recent visit by Pakistan's ambassador Mohammad Sadiq to Kabul last month, where both sides agreed to sustain dialogue on critical issues including security, trade, and refugee matters. At the recent think tank seminar, Ambassador Sadiq had warned that Pakistan could halt all agreements with Afghanistan if the Taliban-led government fails to address Islamabad's concern about cross-border terrorism. A new United Nations report has sounded alarm on sweeping restrictions imposed on Afghan women and girls under the Taliban's propagation of virtue and prevention of vice law, warning that enforcement of the law is shrinking freedoms, collapsing opportunities, and reshaping family and social dynamics across Afghanistan. The report by UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan has alleged the PVPV law, enforced by over 3,000 male inspectors, has created a deeply repressive framework targeting Afghan women's mobility, economic participation, and access to services. Among the most severe mandates are those requiring women to wear full-body hijabs with face coverings and barring them from traveling without a male guardian, even for short essential trips such as to hospitals or workplaces. The law also codifies existing bans on girls' education beyond grade 6. The UNAMA observed the inspectors making routine school visits to monitor dress codes and enforce gender segregation. In some regions, girls have even been told to wear gloves, though such a clause does not formally exist in the law. UNAMA has warned that PVPV law is not only undermining women's rights but also pushing Afghanistan further away from international norms, complicating any path toward diplomatic reintegration. In response, the Taliban-led Vice Ministry has called the report as propaganda aimed at undermining the governance of de facto authorities. Spokesperson Saiful Islam Khyber emphasized that the de facto rulers respect the rights of all citizens. The International Monetary Fund said on Friday that discussions with Sri Lanka will continue towards reaching an agreement in the near term on the fourth review of its $2.9 billion program after a staff team visited the island nation. Sri Lanka, which plunged into a financial crisis due to a record shortage of dollars 3 years ago, has posted a strong recovery after securing the IMF bailout in March 2023. But this recovery could be affected by external shocks that are creating uncertainty for the Sri Lankan economy, the IMF said in a statement. The US had earlier this month imposed a 44% tariff on imported goods from Sri Lanka, which were likely to impact about $3 billion of exports, mostly apparel. The tariff has been suspended for 3 months, but Sri Lanka will still have to pay an additional 10% on most exports to the United States. The need to increase power prices, avoid tax exemptions and rebuild foreign exchange reserves were also mentioned by the IMF as focus areas for Sri Lanka. Colombo needs to complete the review and get IMF Executive Board approval to revive about $334 million as the fifth tranche. Moving on. The Nepal police has apprehended Durga Prasad, a controversial businessman and royalist leader, for his role in the violent pro-monarchy protest in Kathmandu's Tinkun, which left 2 people dead and caused widespread destruction. Prasad, a communist turned monarchist who was absconding following the unrest, was detained near the Nepal-India border and was brought to the capital for further investigation. Authorities plan to present him at the district court to seek a remand extension. Conflicting reports surround Prasad's detention. While Nepal police confirmed his arrest, earlier claims suggested he had surrendered to Indian police in Assam for his safety. The charges against Prasad stem from the March 28 demonstration, which authorities say he orchestrated alongside Navraj Subedi. The protest, which was aimed at restoring Nepal's monarchy and declaring it a Hindu state, turned chaotic, resulting in 2 deaths, significant property damage estimated at ₹460 million, and acts of arson and looting. Police accused Prasad of inciting violence, including an attempt to run over security personnel with a vehicle before fleeing the scene. And scores of devotees gathered in Bhaktapur in Nepal on Thursday to celebrate the arrival of the new year with a chariot festival. Take a look.
The ancient Tomadi square of Bhaktapur in Nepal became lively on Thursday, with revelers and devotees congesting to watch the Biska Jatra, which as per folklore signals arriving Nepali New Year. One of the most popular festivals of the Kathmandu Valley, the Biska Jatra starts with the ascension of Lord Bhairab onto the chariot built in front of the Nayatapola temple, the tallest temple in Nepal. The chariot, made of wood in the pagoda style, is pushed and pulled around the city for 9 days and 8 nights.
माथि तल भैरव रथमा राख्छ हैन अनि यहाँबाट भद्रकालीको तल लगिसक्यो त्यहाँ भद्रकालीको एउटा आराधना गर्छ अनि यहाँ भैरव राखेपछि अनि तल माथि यहाँ जात्रा हुन्छ तल लान सके तल लान्छ माथि लान सक्छ तानातान हुन्छ यहाँ हैन भएपछि अनि त्यो लगेर त्यहाँ गाइतीमा गएर त्यहाँ विश्राम गर्छ के.
The Biska Jatra, believed to have started during the Malla dynasty, begins 4 days before the Nepali New Year. According to a legend, anyone who married a local princess would die on the first night until a brave man killed the 2 snakes that attacked him. Biska in Newari means killing of snakes, and this event is reenacted each year near Nayatapola temple on New Year's Eve. A sacred pole lingo with 2 cloths representing slain snakes is raised and pulled down the next day to mark the start of the new year. Unique among festivals, Biska Jatra follows a special tantric ritual rather than the lunar calendar.
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.